Hi, Deborah.
Hi, who's this?
It's Chris.
Hi, Chris. How you feeling?
Good. My surgery's tomorrow at 2 o'clock.
Okay. Well, I'll be thinking of you.
Oh, thank you. I have no idea what to expect.
I don't know anybody who's had it. I don't know.
Well, Manny Heiliger's wife had it done, and he said she did really well with it.
That's great.
Yeah, that's good news. I'm just going to go in and get into my meeting minutes right now. Okay. Yeah, Hillary's trying to get a couple permits out, so I'll try letting people in.
Okay.
You look tired.
I am tired.
You didn't sleep well, or just a lot going on?
Both.
Yeah. How's your mom?
Unfortunately, she's delusional now about 100% of the time.
Oh, it's sad.
So it's bad.
Yeah, that's really hard.
So, Chris, are you going in for your operation tomorrow?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, let's wish you luck.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Hi, Mike.
Hi.
I'm just going to go ahead and rename you here, Mike, so we remember that it's you.
Well, you could pick a nice name.
I got to figure out how to name you again. Oh, maybe they got
like lollipop.
maybe they got rid of that feature.
Sure who iPad is.
That's probably Barbara,
Okay.
although I don't know.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Here comes Leon.
Hi, Debbie.
Hi, Leon. How are you?
Hi, thanks.
Chris, I'm not seeing the waiting room on mine. Can you, the next time somebody comes in, can you not admit them in just so we can make sure I can see it?
Okay, Barbara's ready to come in now. You have-
Okay, yeah, I'm not, I don't have access to it for some reason.
All right. Oh, no, that's gonna, all right. Well, I'll just have to do the meeting minutes tomorrow morning. Because I can't see the screen when I'm in my meeting minutes.
Let me see.
Says we're recording. John
Let
Port,
let me see if I sign out and sign back in, I can get hosting rights. So
okay,
hold,
'cause I know I.
hold tight. I don't have anything too important to talk about, so I'm gonna leave and rejoin.
Okay, I'm gonna let John Portnoy in.
We still don't know who iPad is.
No. Start video. Debbie, can you see up on top where the recording button is red blinking?
It's
On the
recording,
left.
Chris. It has.
Do you think we're recording or not?
Yes.
It's blinking. I'm gonna just stop record and then it's still blinking. I just want to make sure we're recording.
I think it's when you are recording.
Okay, I hope so. I don't know what that little green button means. You are
No,
using,
you're recording, it's recording, and I think I now have hosting rights as well, so I think we're good.
good.
Hillary, can you tell who iPad is?
Let me unmute them and we can ask. iPad, can you tell us who you are?
Yes, it's Patricia Comley. Sorry, it didn't allow me to sign in under my name when I came in.
Okay, let me
Sorry.
see if I can rename you here.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Sure thing. And Patricia, I noticed that you had sent in an email
Yes.
this afternoon. I have not read it. Could you read it when we get to that hearing? Because that would probably be most helpful.
Sure, sure. And I apologize it came too late. I had sent it early a couple days ago and for some reason got stuck in my drafts.
Oh,
And I did
Okay.
notice that.
okay,
So-
good. I wanted to make sure I just didn't lose it.
No. And I'll read it. It's short.
Okay, we'll wait just 2 minutes till it's 4 and then start.
Debbie, is the planning board, is your husband still on the planning?
No, he's on the zoning board of appeals now.
Oh, okay.
As far as I know, the planning board has not been meeting, if that was. the-
Yeah, they haven't met at all, so I was wondering if they were going to meet or it's not 4:00 yet.
No, we've got a minute.
Okay.
Still lacking Ben. John Kumbler.
Okay, we'll get started and they can join when they get on.
All right.
We'll start the business meeting of the Town of Wellfleet Conservation Commission pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 30A, Sections 18 through 25, as amended by Chapter 28 of the Acts of 2009, the Wetlands Protection Act, and the Wellfleet Environmental Protection Bylaw and its regulations. This is a remote meeting being held pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and the governor's orders imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. Town hall is closed. Everyone is participating remotely. Please let me know if you are having difficulty because we have had difficulty in the past. Just a few things to start off the business meeting. You should have, commissioners, you should have received the notice of appeal showing that it had been docketed in Holland versus the Wellfleet Conservation Commission. Did anyone not receive that? Okay. Also, we've had an inquiry about whether we wish to continue our policy of not hearing complex matters. Hillary, if you could speak to that. Hillary, you're muted.
Yeah, sorry, I was talking to the IT. What would you like me to speak on? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, we've had the inquiry about whether or not we wish to continue.
Yes. Oh, good. That's what I wanted to bring up. I wanted to actually read the email to the whole commission so that they could hear it. So I'm going to try and locate that. So bear with me for one moment. It's in my inbox because I haven't responded back yet.
I have it if you would like me to read it.
Oh, I have it right here, provided you can hear me. It says, "Hi, Hillary. In regards to your email a couple weeks to Sarah, I would like to discuss the 11 and 21 Samoset Ave rock revetment hearing with you. It was scheduled for 2 weeks ago. However, I had to attend a funeral, which was why we requested the continuance. We requested the continuance under the assumption that it would only delay the permitting process by 2 weeks, which would not affect the construction of the project. In the meantime, you sent the below notification to Sarah. Hi, Sarah. Thank you for your application in accordance with Chapter 53 of the Acts of 2020, the Act, Section 17. A hearing will be scheduled within 45 days of the termination of the existing state of emergency. We will notify you once a hearing date has been set. The Conservation Commission has determined that hearings for shorefront protection are too difficult to review and hear remotely. Therefore, they have voted to hear this when we can again meet in person and the state of emergency is lifted. We are sorry for the inconvenience this may cause, but we want to be able to meet on site with the project engineer and the commission as a whole. Chris, please place this project on a list to schedule when the state of emergency is lifted. We will hear these cases as they come in. Yours, Hillary." And then he goes on to say, since we submitted our application prior to the notice and would have been heard at the hearing preceding this notice, is there any way you and the commission can make an exception so we can be heard tomorrow or even the next hearing? Since the commission is not very keen to nourish this area due to concerns with the aquaculture sites, there is really no other option to protect the pre-78 homes from the severe and accelerated erosion along this stretch of shoreline. For this reason, I believe this should not be a very controversial project. Please call me to discuss. I would have called you, but I forgot to save your phone number. Thank you, Charlie. So, I mean, we took the application in and gosh, I could look back in time to see when we took it in and stamped it in, but I think we are still on solid grounds based on what town council had said to hear it when we can again meet in person. And I guess I don't think that anything that dramatic is going to happen between now and when we can meet again, provided we can meet again soon, which I'm hopeful of. So I think we have to stand firm and hear all of the same types of cases when we're comfortable hearing them, because I don't want us to be construed as, you know, picking and choosing certain ones to hear, but not hearing others, because I think the truth of the matter is that any kind of seawall protection is difficult to understand when we're not all together on the site and we can't all be in the same room viewing the same site plan. So it's very difficult to weigh in on those things in this forum. So I think we can respectfully decline to hear the case this week or next week and wait until the state of emergency is lifted and we can meet in person, or at least until we're all more comfortable meeting on a site visit to even just observe the site together and hear from the engineer. And I would suggest in the meantime, if they need to do more beach nourishment, then they could always come back to us for that, as we have told them the last, you know, a couple weeks ago when they applied for that. So I think what we've asked of them is still reasonable, and I just wanted to check with you to make sure you still felt it was reasonable as well before I got back to them.
Just speaking as a single commissioner, I certainly do. I guess what we could do is we could review the policy in a month or two and see if the state of emergency has not been lifted, whether we want to continue that or we feel comfortable changing. That's just my thoughts. Anyone else?
Sounds good to me.
That was Leon.
Yes. So I think we should wait.
Yeah, I agree. But, you know, regardless of when the application came in relative to the state of emergency and our inability to look at the site in detail, the fact is that we're still in this state of emergency and we feel that we can't fully review projects as complicated. So that's where we are.
Barbara, do you want to say anything?
I agree. I've been having trouble going to site visits on my own. It's not an ideal thing, no.
John Kumbler, do you have any?
Yeah, I agree with John Portnoy, and I would add that it's extremely difficult to try to deal with these complex issues when you go there alone and, you know, you have questions. I wonder where this, that, and the other is, and you can't, there's no way to answer them. So I totally agree. I don't know if the state of emergency will be lifted in a month or two, but I think we can at least wait.
Mike Fisher, do you have any comment?
Only I agree with you, Deb.
Okay. Hillary, I think we all are in agreement and would continue the way we are, and we can look at it. I'm sorry, I can't hear you. You're still muted.
I am unmuted now. So I will get back to Charlie and let him know we just can't handle it. We're not equipped to do it. We're sorry. And we'll reevaluate in a month or two. Maybe as time goes on, more of us will be comfortable meeting on the site, or, you know, we'll just see what transpires and see how we can act.
Okay, this is an issue. I have one further issue, and I'm really not sure what to do about it. There is a very small, temporary-looking pile of stones. I would call it a seawall, but that's a loose term, that's been erected at the corner of Omaha and the beach. And it has stones in it that support Black Lives Matter and defunding the police and all kinds of current political issues. And I'm not commenting on it because of that. It's just that somebody has taken it, or some group of people have taken it into their minds to erect this sort of temporary seawall right there at the corner. And even though it's a nice political gesture, I'm not sure that it's appropriate in the sense that we don't want people or, erecting seawalls on their own without any consideration to what's going on.
Where is it, Debbie?
You have a photo?
I didn't take a photo, I should have. It's right at the corner as you come to the end of Omaha.
Yep.
Look up the beach north. It's right there at the corner on the beach.
Corner of Omaha on beach. How big is it? I mean, if you're,
4 or 5 feet long.
are they big rocks?
Some are larger, some are smaller. It's someone's installation.
Is it near the kayak racks?
Very near the kayak racks. It's in front of them. And I looked at it and I said, I don't know what to do about this. Do we just say fine, or do we?
Is it affecting, what is it affecting? Let me ask you that.
Well, it's certainly affecting sand coming out of the bank.
Okay, so I suggest contacting the homeowners association and ask if they know who's responsible for it.
Would that be Ann, one of the Anns?
Yeah, Ann Sterling.
Oh,
Yeah, I would contact her. Yeah.
and what do we call it? A political art installation or / rock?
I don't know what you call it.
Pile of rocks.
Pile of rocks? I want to be
Who's responsible
sympathetic.
for this pile of rocks?
It looks like a temporary rock wall. Though maybe they intend it to be permanent. I don't know.
It's not on the other Ann's property.
No.
Okay.
Is it in the coastal bank? Where is it along the profile?
It's right at the edge.
It's right at the foot of the bank?
Yes.
Oh,
Where the bank is eroding.
okay, so it's having an effect.
Yes. it
Yeah.
is. That's why I don't know what to do.
How many rocks is it, Debbie? Is it something we could just take away?
I just don't feel great about disassembling someone's, political statement. I feel bad, but that's me. It's maybe 4 or 5 feet by 3 feet.
Okay. All right. Well, let me reach out to the Anns because they're very vocal and active at this moment. So see if they have any insight into this installation of rocks and see what to do about that. That being said, the Anns are very vocal at this time about the marsh and the Sewell's gutter area and erosion and shellfish driving and kayak racks. So we've had quite the correspondence with the Anns.
When you say Ann's, which one? I know Ann Sterling.
Ann Sterling and then Ann Udowitz, the corner house.
Okay, yeah, yes, I've spoken to her son-in-law or her son Chris or her son-in-law Chris. Yes, a lot.
A lot, yeah. So
Their concern is the amount of traffic on the road. What is it?
they have a lot of concerns. Their concerns are the amount of traffic. Their concerns are the shellfish driving in front of the wall, causing more erosion. They're concerned about the boats on the grass. They're concerned about that whole area and how it's managed. They're concerned about people parking on the road because there's no parking signs. They're concerned about encroachment into their driveway and also on the marsh side. And they think we should look at freshwater aquaculture
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
And that one.
in ponds. They think we should look at putting shellfish in ponds.
Oh, well, that's a no-brainer. They won't
So,
go.
so we have all of those matters ongoing with the ands. And I guess the most pressing one to me is not the parking, because we don't really do parking. And the most pressing one to me is the boats. And I know we've gone round and round having kayak discussions like over and over and over again. And I can't quite put my finger on where we landed, whether the kayaks on the grass for 2 short months is really that detrimental or not in that area. So I just want to put that out to you guys. We did install boat racks there, and one got washed away and the other one is half covered. So it doesn't seem an ideal location for a boat rack. And so we have this local phenomena where people like to leave their kayaks just at the beach because it's easy and convenient. And our regulations don't really allow for it, but if you were on the commission when we went through and stickered a bunch of boats, that was highly unpopular. And I'm not sure it made any difference in the world. So I'm kind of at a loss for what to do. So I guess I need some input from you guys.
Hillary, can I
Yes.
John, go ahead.
say stickered? You mean like at Powers Landing, the crafts that go out to their boats have to have a sticker from the harbor master?
No, we went through a campaign where we stickered vessels that were like just sitting there.
When you say stickered, what do you mean?
The sticker said, please remove your boat or you will be fined in accordance with ba 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 ba. So it was, people thought it was very hostile.
What if we, and I don't know if we have the power to do it, the harbor master does it, require, if you're going to leave your kayak there overnight or longer than that, you have to buy a permit from the harbor master that costs, $20 or something. That'll discourage people, but it won't prohibit.
It still has to be enforced, and that's the problem.
And it won't discourage people. There are so many kayaks there. They used to put them on the racks, but when the racks washed away, they're putting them everywhere now.
Yeah.
They're using, I don't know about there, but at the end of, at Field Point, they're using these big cinder blocks to leave their kayaks, tether them to these cinder blocks, because the kayaks racks there wash away every year. So those kayaks aren't even registered or anything. They just dump there.
And I think the same is true in this area as well, because we don't register them. They were sort of first come, first served by the neighborhood.
Right.
John Portnoy, do you have any thoughts on?
Yeah, I do have a thought, but it's, I don't know, it may get us into the realm of being arbitrary, but it seems like there should be a difference between places where the habitat that we're trying to protect is ephemeral, like, a migrating dune field, or, sandy beach with beach grass on it that gets hit by storm tides every 6 months or 2 years, versus putting boats on a salt marsh where you have a fairly stable habitat that you could seriously destroy for a long period. I'm not sure how we fit that into regulations, but it seems like there should be a difference. I can understand that people don't see much impact if the beaches, dunes are migrating and beach grass is coming and going, and I can understand why people think they're not having much impact in an ephemeral situation like that. It really bothers me when I see boats left on salt marshes, though, because they do have a long-term effect on a stable vegetation community.
So I'm just looking at our regulations to see what it says we're going to do. So none of these boats are permitted. I guess I'm just hesitant. Any vessel found on a town landing without a current town-issued identification sticker may be tagged for removal. If the vessel has not been removed by the owner within 48 hours, it may be removed and stored by the town and subject to a non-criminal violation with a fine up to $100. The per diem storage fee, blah, blah, blah. Maybe we could try posting a sign that says this area sensitive, please take your kayaks home.
Yeah, I would say that that's not a town landing. We don't have jurisdiction.
Do you
The town landing is actually on Hiawatha. And we traded, the shell fishermen are allowed to drive down Omaha through the good graces of the homeowners there. Remember that other project where the town landing is where the stairs are.
Right.
So I don't even think that this is a town landing, and people,
You're absolutely right, Barbara.
right? It's not really a public access, it's a private road.
Yeah, the issue too, I think Barbara's absolutely right, is that the kayaks go anywhere from the end of Fox Island all the way down to Burton Baker. People pile kayaks, floats, whatever they feel like out on the beach and leave them there. And I understand the desire to do that in the summer to have quick and easy access. And I think it's difficult, John, to tell them that one area is sensitive and one area is not.
Oh, I understand. But why don't we have it? Why do we not have jurisdiction? It's not, okay, it's not town property, but still, is it within the Conservation Commission's jurisdiction?
I think it is. Yeah, it is, but it's not a town landing. So I don't,
But it is
Pulling up the
town
map.
property.
Hold on one second. I'm going to share my screen so we can look at it. But our regulation is very specific. Barbara is right, to town landings. So we can't take such action. It's interesting because I think we have to tell the ands to go ahead and post it themselves because it's not our property. So it's right here,
the private road.
Omaha Road, right?
Yep.
And then the kayaks are stored here, which I gotta make this bigger because it's hurting my eyes. So hold on one second here. Let me just stop sharing and go in and make it bigger. Sorry, this is not ideal, I know, but I think if we can all see it, it's gonna be better here. All right. Doo-doo-doo. Okay, so we have this hashing, which does not belong to us. Let me see here. So here's this map. Just look at this for a second. Screen. All right, sharing that. So it's this area where the boats are stored over here. Can you all see that?
Yeah, it's from
Yep.
there all the way down
Oh.
to Indian Neck, to Burton Baker.
So I guess like this is all private property here. So these people do whatever they want, right? We don't go out and go after them.
But there's the
This area,
common beach is public, right?
well, this is the public beach right here, Common Beach.
Right.
Right, but as you go further north, do they own all the way to the water? No, they're storing items out on the beach.
Beyond their property lines.
Yes.
And we don't have any AmeriCorps interns to survey what's happening here. So
No, not right now.
right now, yep.
Does anybody know off the top of their head what who this hashing belongs to? I can go back and look on the main page.
It might be the Wealthy Conservation Trust, maybe?
Mike, is that true?
I didn't quite hear where it is that you're talking about.
This
front-
gray hashing.
Do He's
Oh.
talking
The
about-
gray hashing is not, the Conservation Trust only starts, it's green on my map,
Oh, it's
Yeah.
and it's,
all the green
and
area
it's-
in Sewell's
yeah,
Gutter?
green area. And Anne has written to us and said, why don't we do something about it? The road is extending into the wetlands, but it's not actually,
Yep.
where we are is not the problem.
Right.
Let me go check the map in the hallway. Hold on one second.
That might be, that area down there might be ours. It may be the open
I
space.
think it's,
Put it
yeah,
in
I
our,
think the hatching is town land.
and it may be in our jurisdiction because open spaces may have given it to us.
either that-
Not yet. I talked to Bruce Herter, and it's not been given to Conscom. It's still owned by the town, and he thought that there would be a great deal of opposition if the town tried in public meeting to transfer it.
Okay, so it's town-owned land,
Wow.
not Conservation Commission-owned land. So we
Hillary?
do have the authority to
Hillary?
post them for removal.
Yeah, I think the problem is we need a common strategy for boats left on the beach rather than just picking a single area. To me,
I think you can only do it if the town owns it. If it's private property or association beach, I think we start with this if we know it's town owned and we have jurisdiction.
I think we do too. We had a complaint come in, so we're on solid ground to follow up on it, and it's on town-owned land. It's clearly on town-owned land.
Wow, I didn't know that. Okay.
So.
Well,
um,
can I make a suggestion?
go ahead, Mike.
So, in the middle of the season, and particularly this season, it's going to be very difficult to change the rules. People are used to doing certain things. If we definitively decided early in the spring to put up signs and actually to change the rules or do something serious about it, I think that would be, it wouldn't be such an abrupt, in the middle of things, action.
Except that we have a complaint now, and I think Hillary's right. We have to respond to it.
I think the homeowners feel that they have a right to leave their kayaks there because they thought it was part of the homeowners association, but if it's not, then they're going to be really annoyed. Let alone just the seasonal renters, but the seasonal homeowners are going to be upset too. So I think it has to, I would go through the homeowners association first and explain the situation, that we have found that this area where the kayaks are being stored is actually town land and the kayaks are not there, and start with Ann Sterling. She's very reasonable, and start there. She actually brings her kayak down on a little wheelie thing. She doesn't leave it there because she doesn't feel like she has the right to do that. So I would start with Ann Sterling, just to begin the conversation instead of slapping those stickers on the boats again. Right?
I don't disagree with you. The stickers were very unpopular and it was awful.
Right, right. And see how the homeowners would feel about that it's town property. And because it's a sensitive area and that we're seeing damage to the area, that kayaks will not be allowed there in the future, but just get her sense of it. They have their homeowners meeting on Labor Day weekend, so.
And so Anne did write to us, and she does seem reasonable. And she wrote, I want to directly reach out to you as well concerning our request that you initiate ticketing of boats lying atop the dune or on the boat rack at Omaha Beach. So perhaps we can ask her maybe for her email list so we can send a letter or something to
Yeah.
let them know that we're concerned.
Yeah, they have an extensive email list because they collect dues, so they have the list.
Okay. So does that sound like a reasonable approach? We'll reach out to Anne and tell her we'd like to have the boats removed as well. What about the boats that can be half on and half off the rack? How do we feel about that?
Who put the rack up? The homeowners paid for
The
that rack,
homeowners paid for it and AmeriCorps built it and we permitted it.
and we permitted. Hmm.
I think if we permitted it, we can't do anything to the boats on that rack.
Right.
Okay, so,
I agree with John. We let them do it, so until until it floats away.
yeah, so the boats on the rack are okay. And the others have to go.
I think that what I might frame the letter as is this year we're working on education. We realize this is a problem and we need to fix it.
In a number of places, not just there, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not singling out their little place. You're right.
And we need to know who's storing the boats so we can contact those people and make sure they know that it's improper. And they have to move their boats.
Okay.
doesn't
and
the
I was
harbor-
gonna say, gee, I don't know whose boats they are. So then we'll have to ask for the whole association email list, or maybe we could ask her to forward
Right.
this document to the association to let them know. Will we allow the boats to remain this summer and then we expect to not see them back next summer?
I think I think I agree with Mike that, we're in the middle of the season.
Okay.
But a lot of those boats are the renters who bring their boats down for 2 weeks at a time. So
So-
maybe people should tell their renters that they can't leave kayaks there.
Yeah, so I think if we allow it this year and say next year this activity will be prohibited, please notify your guests, renters, friends, ba 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 ba.
Yeah.
And I would send it to the real estate agents too, so that they know to tell the renters.
That's a tougher thing because there's so many different real estate agents coming from all over.
And a lot of them just get their renters through websites or just continue with the same houses every year.
Well, and I think it's going to be something we're going to have to monitor, on a weekly basis in the summertime next summer, because we don't want to threaten enforcement and not actually do it either. So we have to have a plan. And I think the plan would be to let the boats remain on the rack, half on, half off the rack, however that looks, until the rack washes away, which my guess will be this winter, because I don't think it's there for the long haul. And then we tried it at this location and it's just not going to work the same way we did, I think, at Fox Island out there. We tried one and it washed away and that was that. It's just
And
not.
there are still boats there now.
Right. So,
Well, tell people at Omaha and at Field Point. I mean, include both places in the notification.
There's a Field Point Association too.
Well, I think that's the same association.
yeah, I think it is the same too.
Right. And you know
And
what?
then I guess
You know
we'll have to be ready for
You know-
next year to ticket and remove boats.
You know
So,
who else keeps their boats at Field Point? Some of the shell fishermen.
so we've allowed them.
Why?
I don't know why. They're special.
That's going to run us into trouble. I mean, that's discrimination if I were
Right.
and towards litigation.
Mm-hmm.
I was litigious, I would say.
So, each licensed commercial fisherman or aquaculturist who stores a small vessel associated with his or her work at a town landing will be allocated one sticker at no charge and a second sticker at no charge if work is done at 2 different locations within Wellfleet Harbor. So that is number 3 of small vessels may be stored unattended in Wellfleet provided they meet the following regulations. So my guess is they don't have stickers on their vessels, but maybe they do. The stickers come from the harbor master. And there's a time frame. So it says town, in accordance with marina regulations, no boats shall be stored in town landings between November and April, with the exception of those used by year-round fishermen. So we already have sort of fisherman-specific regulations. So if anyone's out at Field Point, take a look at those vessels and see if there's any stickers on them from the harbor master, because it should have those.
Okay. All right.
All right. Any other areas of discussion before we go to mail, DLTA, jurisdictional
There's-
opinion, and
There's,
minutes?
there's a house on Kendrick Avenue that looks like it's having a major septic system done.
Yes, 147 Kendrick Ave, Bex.
Yeah, what's going on there?
They're getting a new septic system. That's exactly it. It's the one on the beach side.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's all
We approved
permitted.
that.
It came to us,
Right, we were about 6 weeks ago. 8
yeah,
weeks.
really recently.
Yeah, I voted against it, by the way, just noting.
It's an alternative system, Barbara, and it's been permitted by Board of Health and Conscom.
okay. Maybe we should have asked for a tight tank. I don't know, but
That's
We
what I
talked about
wanted,
that.
Barbara. I pushed that and I lost that vote.
I don't even remember that one. I don't even know if I,
What about the shed on Way 60 or whatever it is?
They are getting their second letter. That's the old Emmons property.
Right, they haven't responded?
They have not responded.
Hillary, I think the letter should indicate that a lack of response can result in a fine.
We can issue a fine with the letter.
Yeah, I think,
okay. And then there's one other thing, Deb, when we have a chance.
yes, Barbara.
I had,
I was just going to weigh in on other violations we're following up on. Damon Way, he's the other violation out on Hiawatha. He has his application together. He's the driveway regrading pavers one, and that is being submitted as an after the fact filing. So we'll be seeing that in our next meeting or the one right after that. So spoke to him today.
And what about the brush that's piled up along the marsh side along Hiawatha?
Yep, we've seen that, and it's difficult to send enforcement for that because we didn't see anybody actually placing it there. So we're in a bit of a debacle with that one, but.
Okay. Barbara?
yes, I emailed you all about an irrigation system that was put in within the 50 foot buffer zone on Chickasset Neck Road. And then we leave that in to establish the plants. And Doug and Hillary seemed to think it was reasonable for them to do so, but I really think they need to take it out after that, because this is a way that people can sort of get things in, sneak things in, and keep them there, you know, without inappropriately. So I think that I sent an email, and I'll follow through, that they need to get that irrigation system out once the plants are established and before they get their order of conditions filed. Before they get their certificate of compliance, rather.
Anything else? All right. Mail, is there anything in the mail? Hillary?
Hillary would know, because I can't get in the building to get the mail.
I do not think we've received any mail short of our MACC renewal.
Okay.
Okay.
So no, I think we're okay.
On DLTA, I assume we're going to be working with Horsley and Witten on the regulations.
Yes, I reached out to all of the applicants, let the ones who did not get the job know, and informed the ones that did get the job. And I had a nice conversation with Nate Kelly from Horsley Witten, and they're really excited to be on board. And they're doing some background research at the moment, and then they'll meet with us as a commission as a whole. My thought was maybe when we have them, we start our meeting at 3 o'clock. I don't know if that's amenable to everybody, but just so we have enough time to talk with them in detail.
And
That's fine with me.
we have no idea when that will be either, right?
In the next meeting or the one after.
Oh, on a Zoom meeting, you mean? Okay.
The next CONSCOM meeting or the meeting after.
Oh, on Zoom though?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, on Zoom.
Okay.
Meeting minutes, Chris, John had edited the last set and I sent just a very few changes. Has everybody had a chance to look at those?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, could I have, Chris, could you give us the date on those, please?
This is the 1st of July.
Okay, could I have a motion to accept the edited minutes of July 1st?
So moved.
Is there-
Second.
Okay,
Second, Barbara.
we need a voice vote. Leon,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
John Portnoy,
Yes.
John Kumbler,
Yes.
Ben,
Yes.
Mike Fisher,
Yes.
Debbie, yes. Okay. Then jurisdictional opinions. Do we have any? We lost Hillary.
That was that person behind her that kept appearing on us.
Yeah. It's very worrisome to see this figure.
Tracy is working on my computer behind me.
Oh, there she is.
Facing this computer. No, we do not have any jurisdictional opinions.
Okay. Is there anything else that we need to address in the business meeting?
Just real quick for Barbara. Barbara, I heard from your harbor committee people and maybe not the harbor conference people.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
And I wrote back with an explanation of the project that we were working on. She wanted me to talk about sediment, something about sediment, and I told her that really wasn't on our.
Yeah, I think that session, because Mark Borelli is
Yeah.
speaking, we wanted sort of a tie-in with sediment, but I think that folks in town should know about what you've been doing with this municipal vulnerability planning and adaptation. So I emailed her that and she's fine with it. So
Okay, because I wrote back to her and told her a little bit about what our project was and how I think it's really interesting, and it does dovetail with what Mark Borelli is doing, but it's not exactly what she wanted. So
that's fine. I explained it to her. I said, this is important. The people in town need to
Okay.
know that this stuff's going on. And
Perfect.
a lot of people don't. So you're good to go.
Okay.
Is there anything else that anybody wants to bring up in the business meeting portion?
Yeah, I have a kind of an open question for everybody. There was a discussion on social media about sightings of run-over turtles on Main Street near Wagner Inn, which to me kind of sounds like terrapins coming, with nesting season from Duck Creek. So I just wanted to, I don't know if anyone had seen that, but I guess the neighbors there have been seeing a lot of turtles getting on the road and getting run over. So I was just kind of figured I'd bring that up. And I know that's not kind of like our jurisdiction because it's the road, but thought it was worth noting to have some kind of discussion about.
Barbara?
Yes, I got that notice from Bob Prescott that there were turtles being run over there. And usually we have a couple every year on Main Street or near PJ's. That's one of the reasons why the Wellfleet Conservation Trust built the turtle garden behind the mobile station. We're allowed to intercept a lot of turtles from getting on the road, but they're usually a couple of roadkills. And I like to get notifications so I can go there and confirm that they're terrapins. And if the eggs are salvageable, we can get the eggs out and incubate them. But I didn't get notification of that until well after the fact when somebody shoveled the turtle someplace else. So I think one of the things that those folks can do is just let Audubon right away know so that one of us can get out there and confirm it's a terrapin and see if it's alive, in which case it might have to be rehabilitated or euthanized depending on her situation, and maybe even salvage her eggs. But when we find out 2 or 3 days later that someone saw a dead turtle and shoveled her away, we really don't know what happened. We can't really document that. But there are always a few there, Ben, every year, but fewer now that the Wellesley Conservation Trust allowed us to build a turtle garden behind the mobile station where we now have 11 nests. So
Is there any value in
sign-
crossing signage? Because I also got complaints down at the Herring River on
Right.
Neck.
we had a few roadkills there too. Yeah, I mean, you could put up signs. It doesn't do a whole lot of good because after a while, people are just, there are too many signs. They don't even look at them.
Right, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah, but I mean, yes, signs may be helpful, but
Something we could maybe work with the high school and get maybe a craft kid or?
well, what we did last year and the year before when Audubon had their day camp is the day camp kids made the signs and we laminated them and we put them up. But this year there's no day camp. So the signs we have from last year, most of them aren't very good. I put up whatever signs I had on Indian Neck. But yeah, I mean, that's a potential project. And you can have signs made fairly inexpensively. And the best signs don't even have like cute turtles on them because they get stolen. It would just be a sign that says turtle crossing.
Yeah, maybe we can give that some thought.
We could paint Turtle Lives Matter on the street.
I'm just going to say, don't go there.
I'm just throwing some things on the wall here, but I don't know if anyone's been to the Boat Meadow area on Bridge Road in Eastham.
Yes.
Yeah, and maybe have you seen the kind of fencing that they've put up?
Yes.
Do you think that's something that can be done? Maybe not necessarily by us, but a volunteer or something, or?
That was a big project, major permitting, major fundraising. It went through the Eastham Conservation Commission. It was not an insignificant project. It took a couple of years for that to happen.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
then you have to sort of have a plan, if you fence off that area, where else are the turtles going to cross? And is there a safe spot beyond the fencing? So it's something that requires some study. And I think once the Herring River dike is taken out, the turtles can go right under and they don't have to go up on there and get squished. So we should promote the Herring River restoration and the new dike. And that would be a really good way to prevent terrapin mortality on Chukesset Neck Road. But it was an interesting project on Bridge Road. I could fill you in on that if you need to know, but it wasn't insignificant to get that project going, for funding, the permitting, all of that.
Yeah, I'd be very interested. Could you email me some things, or?
Yeah, I can email you a contact person who was involved with that in Eastham.
Oh, awesome. Great.
Okay.
Anything else, Ben?
Sorry?
I said anything else that you have?
No, that just that I was actually I worked closely with Denny on the turtle gardens there, so I'm pretty familiar with what was done. Pretty awesome.
Very successful this year, yes.
Oh, was it? I didn't even get a chance to take a look.
Another good year.
Awesome.
Debbie?
Yeah.
So at one point we were going to get IDs from the fire department to help when we're doing our visits.
Hillary, do you have anything about that?
Yeah, no, I can reach back out to the chief again and see if we can pick a date where you guys can go there and get the IDs made up.
And we still haven't figured out how we can do site visits, like 2 or 3 at a time.
Well, I'm still working that through. This meeting would have been difficult just because of the site locations. The next meeting we have Wigwam, which is okay. We have 2 certificates of compliance, which are okay. And we'll have Damon Way. So I think we could break it down for August 5th and We'd all just have to drive alone and park on the road, but I think we could do that on Wigwam because it's, you know, fairly open. And Hiawatha, perhaps we could park a little bit further down, or a couple folks can go at a time, and we can split the group of you into two for those who are interested in site visiting together.
I think that would be great. Even if we did like a 10 and then a 10:30, like another shift coming after that one.
Yeah, I just think, because we probably realistically only need about 5 minutes per site. So I don't know. I mean, we can assemble in groups of 10. I gather that that's not comfortable for you guys. So if we gather in a group of 4 plus Doug is 5, and then we could do another group of 3 plus Doug is 4. So we could have a 5 and a 4 if that's comfortable.
Okay.
Sounds good.
John Kumbler, is that okay with you, or are you going to go alone? What's your?
Well, no, I'm okay. We just need to coordinate how we get there. And I mean,
Well, you're all going to take your own cars.
right. So we need to sort of have a priority of which places, you know, ahead of time.
Yep.
Get the order of when we're going to be at what places.
So I think we would all, just for efficiency, we would break you into 2 groups. The first group would come, the second group can stage a little bit further out. We'd review the project with the first group, then you go, the second group comes in, and then we re-meet at another staging area for the next site.
Okay. I don't like going alone, so it's just preferable.
Great. Let's see how it works. We can't talk about it now. Never mind. Sorry, we got an email from our council that I haven't read completely, but I would have read it, but I don't think I can.
Okay. We will discuss that
Yeah, another time.
another time in executive session.
Yeah.
All right, so we now have 9 minutes before the public hearings. Is there anything else that anybody wants to raise in the business meeting?
Hillary, can we go into executive committee meeting for 9 minutes?
No, we cannot. We have to advertise it in a particular way, and
Fine, that's fine.
yeah,
No.
forget it.
Not
It's just not worth it.
Right.
all right. Then I suggest we adjourn and come back into the public meeting section at 5. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay with me.
I second that we close the business meeting.
All right, do we need a vote to do that? I don't think so.
Okay. See you in 8 minutes. Right, I'm back. Three participants. Wow.
Okay, it's 5 o'clock. We're going to open the public hearings portion of the Town of Wellfleet Conservation Commission. This is opened pursuant to Massachusetts general laws. As cited before, the Wetlands Protection Act, the Wellfleet Environmental Protection Bylaw and regulations. This is a remote meeting governed by the executive orders of Governor Baker, which were cited before. I would ask before anyone speaks that you identify yourself, because it's difficult with so many people on the screen to know who is talking, and we'll need to have your full name and to have you spell your name. The first hearing is for Pilcher, 210 Kendrick Avenue, map 20, parcel 29. It's an RDA, installation of proposed mitigation plantings and ornamental plantings, walkway and patio areas, lawn and driveway. This is a continued hearing. Is someone here to speak to that?
Yes,
Would you state your name, please?
Dylan. Dylan, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, hold on a second. So my name is Dylan, Dylan, Prince, Prince.
Okay. Do you
From
want to
Prince Landscaping.
about the changes you've made to your proposal?
Yeah. So did everybody get the updated plan from the
Yes.
Conservation
Yes.
Commission? Okay. So basically what we did was eliminated all the bluestone patio and walkway areas. We eliminated the walkway in the back. We reduced the planting and moved everything back to behind the lot line. And we, basically are just going to do a very simple bluestone stepping stones to each doorway, and just a fescue grass seed mix in the front with some Virginia rose planted along the fence. And sticking with the shell driveway, and just again the fescue grass in the back pond area as well. So much smaller scope than the last plan, and kind of keeping everything within that lot line that we talked about.
I think it's a significant improvement over the last one. I appreciate what you've done. I think from my point of view, I think you've addressed our concerns in a way, at the same time allowing the owners to get in and out of their house without tracking in a lot of sand.
I agree. I think you did a great job. You listened to us and you responded very quickly, and I would approve this plan as presented.
I second that.
Are there any other?
Mr. Chairman, this is
Yes.
John Portnoy.
Yes,
I'd
John.
like to ask the area that's within the 50-foot buffer and indicated on the plan to be converted to fescue grass. What is the ground cover there now?
It's just kind of a sand and just basically kind of native grasses right now. Kind of a patchy kind of lawn area, I guess you'd call it. So there's really not much there now as far as plantings or anything. But it's,
Okay, so
something we would have to level,
I'm sorry.
mound it up.
Did you say you intended
Sorry.
to hold the area?
Well, we just need to rake it to level it a little bit, not with a machine or anything. Just rake it to level it to be able to plant the new grass seed.
Will it be
So, I mean-
irrigated? Will it be irrigated till it takes, or is there any?
It's a temporary irrigation.
Well,
That's-
to follow up, excuse me,
Go ahead, John.
to follow up, will the soil be amended in any way to establish this grass?
Yeah, I mean, typically would incorporate some kind of sandy loam to grow the grass in, but that
Okay.
conservation mix we can grow in the existing sandy soil, so we don't have to bring in any exterior material. We could grow it with what's there, use what's there.
Okay, well,
But,
what I'm
you know,
driving at,
we were to-
what I'm driving at is that you're really proposing to establish a lawn. And right now we have a sandy area with sort of a hodgepodge of maybe some natives, maybe some other species. And it's within the 50-foot buffer, so I don't think it would be unreasonable to ask that it be restored to a more typical coastal vegetation, including shrubs at that elevation, rather than a lawn. We don't have a lawn now, but we're being asked to accept a lawn.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could call it a lawn. It's more of just to fill in those patchy areas. We're just going to add some conservation seed. It's not like we're going to strip it out, put loam down, put in irrigation, and hydro seed a lawn or anything. We're just talking about filling in the areas that are bare with some conservation mixed grass seed. So it's not like we're going to be installing a lawn per se. It's more of just kind of filling in the bare areas that are kind of burned out and just weeds at this point. So it's not,
Well,
I don't know.
to add to John's thing, is this an area that's proposed to be mowed in the future?
Not really. I mean, maybe once a month you might want to weed whack a little bit, just to kind of keep the grass or whatever's growing there down. But it wouldn't be like a regular mowing type of thing.
Right.
I would like to, if it's possible, to do a temporary irrigation just to set up some hoses and some soaker hoses around the plants, but it'd be all above ground, just off the spigot with a timer. It wouldn't be like an in-ground permanent irrigation, just to get things established. I mean, we don't plan on doing the work until the fall, so that might not even be necessary, but I like to water the plants when we do plant them. But it wouldn't be any.
It would be better for us in the future, word to the wise, if instead of using the words fescue grass seed mix, you said, conservation grass seed mix or whatever it is you're actually talking about. If you indicated that you were going to put temporary irrigation in, that should go into your narrative. That would help us also, because we see temporary irrigation that is in the ground and on the ground. So we need to know what you're talking about. That level of detail is something we normally require.
I gotcha. I'm sorry, you're cutting out a little bit. Did somebody say something?
Does anybody have any other comments?
Just another question. Will there be any fertilization to help this get going?
I wasn't planning on it in that area, no.
Okay.
If we're going to be doing the work in the fall, it's not something that I plan on irrigating or fertilizing or anything like that. So that native seed mix, you don't really need to fertilize it much. So I'm assuming that there is no approved fertilization, like organic fertilization, we could use anyway. So I would rather not do it if it's going to create any problems. So.
Are there any other questions before we vote? All right, we have a motion to accept the amended proposal. Barbara, how do you vote?
As long as it has something about temporary irrigation on it, so that, and no fertilizer, that's fine with me.
John
All right.
Port,
No.
Leon,
Yes.
John Kumbler,
Yes.
Ben,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
and I vote no also. I don't want anything with an 50-foot buffer added to it, but the motion carries. So, Hillary, will you put the conditions in?
I'll put the conditions in, Barbara, or Deborah.
Okay, thank you, Chris. And that's regarding the irrigation.
Is that, could I ask if that's a -2 or 3?
It's in the buffer zone.
So it's a -3, isn't it?
-3, I believe.
Thank you.
Okay, you're all set.
Great, thank you.
All right, the next matter is 0 Blackfish Creek, 170, 174, 180, and 186 Pleasant Point Road, map 35, parcel 210, request for extension. Is there someone here to speak to that?
That would be me, Bob Perry. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Okay, could you tell us what your project, what you're asking for tonight?
All in.
I'm sorry?
Too bad it's not working.
Your meeting ID followed by pound. Enter your participant ID followed by pound. Otherwise, just press pound. You are in the meeting now. There are more than 20 participants in the meeting. This meeting is being recorded. You are
Bob Perry has now phoned in. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
You are muted. You can mute or unmute. You are unmuted.
Okay. Well,
Hello?
Needs to unmute.
I'm unmuted.
Okay. You
I think
want
we're on track now.
to,
Thank you.
okay, what is it you're here for tonight?
I'm Bob Perry, Cape Cod Engineering, and if you need the spelling of my name, I'm happy to spell that. It's Bob Perry, E-R-R-Y. And the 4 applicants at the Pleasant Point Road addresses that are the subject of that order of conditions have not yet constructed their bulkhead. They've applied to go through the MIPA process. Am I still being transmitted?
Yes, you
Yes.
are.
Okay, good. And I wanted to let you know that if I haven't seen you for a while, and it's been a year and a half or so since the order was last extended, and you gave them a fairly limited period of time. And naturally, getting a waterways license, Army Corps permit, triggered the MIPA process. And so there was a little bit of collecting, and that MIPA onsite was held about 10 days ago, and I understood that one of your committee members may have been on the call. Is that true?
Yes, that's true.
Good.
Michael Fisher.
Hi, thanks. That's very helpful to us. This order of conditions, I think just to be practical, given the efforts the applicants are making to keep going, should be extended for a year or 2. But before we do that, I wanted to ask you a question concerning the MIPA process and the topic that was not surprising, but was a concentrated topic having to do with, instead of a vertical bulkhead, the MIPA advisory group, that would be Steve McKenna, Rebecca Haney, the MIPA analyst, they were all interested in the plausible alternative of replacing the bulkhead with some form of stone revetment. And I know some of you were probably beginning with this project back in 2013 or 14 and maybe 2012. And it started out as a rock revetment, but it was improperly proposed. It was 6-ton toe stones and very large scale. And it was far beyond what was needed. And that's kind of how it got into the realm of bulkhead. But I'm just curious, before we would direct the MIPA process to begin to entertain the notion of a stone revetment instead of a vertical bulkhead, I wanted to ask the Wellfleet Conservation Commission their opinion. And is that something you wish to talk about for a few minutes?
I don't think we can give you an advisory opinion. We have to see an application.
Okay.
So comment on that with details.
Understood. I agree. I agree with that. It's interesting that I guess another way to phrase the question is if MIPA was highly unanimous and energetic in the direction of an angled stone revetment, do you think that's worth the applicants bringing to the attention?
At this point, we're not discussing revetments. We have said that the process is too cumbersome and too difficult.
I understand now. Okay, that's the end of that topic. Thank you for letting me know. So we are back before you for a fairly simple request, which is to extend the order of conditions. And if you followed the history of this project, you know how long it's taking, and that there are 4 applicants that need to coordinate. And we would like a 2-year extension, please.
Hillary, do you want to speak to that, please?
I think, Bob, this is very difficult for this commission to approve at this time. We have new members who are completely unfamiliar with this project, with the site, with the history. And I think it would be difficult for them to vote for an extension. That being said, I don't believe there's been any nourishment on the end of the existing bulkhead this year either. And I sort of feel like we have a new shellfish constable in town. We don't have a close history of the accounting of how you spent the last year and a half, what you've been doing when you've applied for these other permits. And I'm not sure our bylaw actually allows us to grant another extension. So I think we do have some issues here.
Okay, well, there's only so much that I'm going to say in defense of an extension, And by the way, I love your background. I don't think that's fescue grass, but I just wanted to mention, I think you have a great background tonight.
Thank you.
So it's the commission's choice. The applicants have been working diligently, but I agree, it's taken some time to get them to understand where we are and what was needed. And I think we had a slight delay on the MIPA filing. We were mildly affected by the COVID, but not entirely. And it's just still the same project, but there has not been nourishment. We're very guarded about that. I know there's an abutter who was concerned about the damage from the nourishment, which I was not aware of, but I did not have anything to do with the nourishment. It was done independently by your request. And they put a fair amount in there, and they have done that a couple of times before. We will be asking for a fill permit from the state in accordance with the Chapter 91 license. And the best we can say is that they are moving forward, and
Hillary, if we don't extend this, they have to come back for a new order of conditions, is that?
Correct, a new notice of intent.
Yeah. I think, given the flexible nature and the request that we consider possibly a revetment, I would like to see them come back. And especially since the nourishment hasn't been done.
I don't think very many of us were here for the initial notice of intent. I wasn't. I was here for one extension, I believe. But we're all fairly new, and this is like starting all over for us. Unfortunately, that's how it is. We're volunteers. We haven't been on this commission for ages, and some of us don't even know about the project.
Does anybody else have comments?
Well, I agree. I'm pleased.
Bylaw that's relevant in this particular case. If any work subject to an order of conditions issued under this bylaw is substantially completed within 3 years from the date of issuance of an order of conditions, a new notice of intent must be filed. Public hearings held and the work reconditioned or denied by the commission as seems appropriate under the circumstance at the time. In lieu of the applicant filing a new notice of intent, the commission may, after a request in writing and a public hearing, may allow an original order of conditions to be extended for a period not to exceed 2 years. So it seems as though we've already gone beyond that on more than one occasion. And so I think with most of our commission members being new and not being out at the site, and with the information from MIPA, I guess it seems prudent that Bob work with MIPA and see what it is they want and come back with some type of revision.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have any alternate view?
Okay, so I will move that we deny the request for extension at 0 Blackfish Creek.
Is there a second?
I'll second Leon.
Can we be sure to hear from the audience before you vote? I'm not sure if there are members of the audience present that would like to speak to this.
Thank you, Hillary. Are there members of the audience present who would like to speak to this?
It's me, Patricia Comley, the iPad. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Hillary, I didn't know what the best thing to do would be, to send the letter to the members, or should I just read it? What would be the best thing?
If you could read it, that would be great. Otherwise, I could pull it up and read it.
Okay, I can just read it. Okay, I just wanted to say that I was not opposed to I'm at 194 Pleasant Point. I'm the abutter on the far side where all the erosion's occurring. Okay, just to get you know, my name is Patricia Comley. And I'm not opposed to the rebuilding of the existing seawall, but I do have concerns regarding what will be done to ensure that the current erosion is not accelerated during the rebuilding process, as my cottage is directly impacted by the erosion. Unfortunately, the sand renourishment has not ameliorated the erosion that has occurred over time. I realize that the land impacted is not my land, but my neighbors. However, due to the old-fashioned drawing of the boundary line, which is on the diagonal, the erosion is in front of my cottage. Nevertheless, the bank at this rate will become unstable and adversely impact my home and property. I've enclosed a couple pictures, but that's kind of pointless now. The pictures were so that you could see to the extent to which this erosion has progressed due to the water action being directed by the current seawall to this point of weakness in the bank. So my questions are, well, will the new seawall be built so as not to encourage more erosion? And how will the new seawall be built so neighbors' properties will not be damaged? They may be protecting theirs, but I obviously don't want mine to be impacted. Thank you, Hillary. Okay, and so that's pretty much all my letter. It's just, as you can see, it's pretty drastic and it's gotten way worse over the years.
I think that just supports our decision to have a new public hearing on this project and to get everything out in the open so that we can look at it
think, Ms. Chair,
Yes, John.
as I understand it, Hillary can inform me that this has to, as part of the MEPA process, it requires, the project requires coastal zone management consistency review.
Correct.
And in that case, if the coastal zone management review objects to a vertical wall, which I understand is common nowadays, and we will have to be reviewing a whole new project anyway with a new submission.
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
So there's another reason for us to require a new proposal.
And we do have an existing condition on the property that says beach nourishment is to be placed on the Patterson property to fill the void on an annual basis. So that's existing.
And that has not been done?
Not to the best of my knowledge. Bob, correct me if I'm wrong.
It was done a year and some months ago, but that was the one that Patricia Comley had some problems with. I think some others would have problems with it as well. And there was a pretty good sand load. I know Easy Does It did the work, but there's only been one nourishment effort since the order was extended. Only one.
Okay. It's not so good.
Well, it's, yeah, I agree. I know that that's the management area down there, and if there was a soft solution at the base, the nourishment might last longer for purposes of arresting bank erosion. But we're going to address that going forward. And there does seem to be a change afoot with the MEPA review and the fact that the group, of course, now owns the property that the facility is on. So I understand what you're thinking.
I guess I'm just feeling like it's unfortunate that it's taken this long, because this erosion would not be so bad at the far end if, you know, things had been done differently.
Right. Well, they came into ownership about a year ago.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah. And the permit process started before I got involved.
Yeah, I remember.
And, yeah. And then you need the licensing. And
yeah,
there was it's a technical, philosophical debate that's going on. I don't think there's a large fan base for the bulkhead. MEPA seemed very, as John pointed out, the environmental advisory review agencies are looking to turn bulkheads into revetments, but they need to be done in a manner that is appropriate.
Just one question. Isn't this the bulkhead area, the land that the town actually gave to these, they were able to buy this property to put up the bulkhead?
Yes.
So.
Well, you know, the history was, the brief history is that in '86, for those of you who weren't up on it, in '86, an order of conditions was issued for the bulkhead to the 4 applicants, 4 separate orders. And they thought they owned the land because they'd been using it. Turned out it was owned by Luther Kroll, 7 acres. And Luther went arrears on his $53 tax bill. Town of Wellfleet took that property in 1999 for $53 in back taxes. Then the owners just never knew about that and continued to believe it was their own, and under adverse possession laws might have been able to claim it, but not after the town took it. So the town sold it back to them after 2 years of town meeting discussions to do so. And I went to all 6 of those town meetings where the first year it was denied to sell them the property. And the second town meeting year in 2018, they voted unanimously to sell it to them.
Please?
So that's the history.
Right, but the town, can you hear me? But the
Yes.
town sold them that to rebuild the bulkhead, not to put up a rock revetment. So that's another issue overlying all of this.
Well, that's an interesting distinction. You're right about that. But if the rock revetment can be stationed so that it's not seaward of the bulkhead, and that it is a let's say, an agreeably thought of better solution, I don't know that there'd be an inconsistency there.
All right, too many complications for us to deal with this right now.
You said it. Believe me, I understand, and I understand your thinking. So I'm just bringing this to you for your consideration. You've considered it. I know there's a motion on the floor.
Yeah, so we have a motion to deny the request for extension. John Portnoy, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ben?
Yes.
Leon?
Aye.
John Kumbler?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Mike Fisher?
Yes.
And Debbie, yes. So you need to figure out with the landowners what they want to do.
I agree with you, and I appreciate your time. Thank you, and good night to you all.
Good night, Bob.
Aye.
The next hearing is Domsky Sandy Shoes LLC, 135 High Meadow Road, map 12, parcel 131. It's an RDA, replace gravelled bed under deck with permeable pavers. Is someone present for that?
Yes, this is Eric Domsky, ERIC DOMSKI.
Okay, do you want to tell us about your proposal?
Yes, there's an area underneath an existing deck that we have just outside the basement slider. That area, as you can see, I'm sharing my screen, looks like this currently. It is underneath the deck. There is gravel in this area with a permeable cloth underneath. There's a barrier here, like a wood barrier across here, as well as along this wood. All I'd like to do is take this gravel up and replace it with permeable pavers. So the area proposed is here. And the only additional thing is right here underneath the deck, there's a slight slope, and basically I want to put a few rocks or permeable pavers here. As you can see, the air conditioning unit is right here, and I just want to make sure that there's no push down of the sand and rock there, so that the air conditioner doesn't slope, if you will. As far as there's no runoff in this area due to the fact that the deck is over top. As you can see in the picture above, there's no vegetation there at all. So I'm not going to extend the space of this at all. It's only going to be in this gravel area right here. And then as far as the site location is concerned, I took some topographical pictures from Google. You can see where it is underneath the deck here, as well as from a site location. It's right at the 200, this is the 200-foot mark, and it's right at the very edge of that 200-foot mark underneath the bed. Hopefully that makes it clear relative to where the house and foundation is.
Could you please explain about the retaining walls that are there now, what height they are and where they are?
Sure. Basically, they're 2 by 6 foot, a 2 by 6 treated board. Okay, that's right in this area right here. If you can see where I'm pointing, it's basically a 2 by 6 inch treated piece of lumber right now. Okay.
And what do you intend to replace that with? The pavers?
Yeah, I had a picture of these pavers right here. This is a retaining wall scape stone. I thought it would hold up a little bit better than the board. If you prefer me using a board, I can use that as well. I just want to make sure that that area, especially right in this area right here, which is about, maybe I might have to have it 3 bricks high, okay, because they're 4-inch bricks, probably about 1.5 to 2 feet up, 3 bricks high, just to make sure that that sand doesn't creep down onto the patio, the permeable pavers on the patio.
And are the pavers put but one up against each other with no space? Is that what you're proposing?
No, I'd actually put some space in between. So if there is any, any kind of water, again, there's no real runoff there to begin with because it's located directly, as you can see, it's directly underneath this deck. So there's no water that kind of goes down there. Plus, if you take a look at this picture here, there's no water, there's no water that seeps down the slope because of the location of the foundation. For some reason, this isn't going down. Oh, here we go. Right here, the foundation is here as well. It goes across. There's no runoff because there's basically the runoff goes down way down here on the right because of the blockage of the foundation here as well as the deck over top.
Does anybody have questions?
Just make sure you take a look at the site plan. I think we're about 190 feet from the edge of the river on this one. So we're considerably far away. I know we've had a lot on this property and we're all very familiar with it, but just make sure we're all clear on where we are within our jurisdiction.
Mr. Chair, I have no problem with this. And also I'd like to say that I'm very impressed with the planting on the slope on the coastal bank. Positively.
Great, thank you.
Madam Chair, I don't have an objection. It seems like we shouldn't let past problems interfere with our decision on this. This doesn't compare. It's going to affect our area of interest significantly at all, and as long as it's permittable under the the deck, I find it perfectly acceptable. I don't see a big issue.
Anyone else?
This is Barbara. I'm just want to be on the record that I'm thrilled that they came to us. With the
You're absolutely right. It was the first thing that we wanted to do to make sure everything, even though it was 190 feet, I want to make sure that it was okay with you, especially based on everything else that's gone on with the house.
Okay, could I have a motion?
I move that we accept this proposal.
Is there a second?
Leon seconds.
John Portnoy, how do you vote?
Yes.
Leon?
Yes.
John Crumbler?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Ben?
Yes.
Mike Fisher?
Yes.
And Debbie, yes. You're all set.
Thank you very much. You have a nice evening.
Thank you, Mr. Dunn.
Okay, the next public hearing is Crowell 36 Wigwam, map 35, parcel 139. It's an RDA for a septic upgrade. Is there someone present for this?
I haven't had a chance to let anybody in. I can't see the screen, so perhaps Hillary.
No, nobody's waiting to be let in. Chandler Crowell's here. He could probably represent his own project. Jason Ellis is his engineer. And Jason, are you with us? Jason?
What about Chandler?
No, Jason's here. His number's down here. Perhaps he's having trouble unmuting. Jason?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Oh, yep, I got you now.
Okay, good. Yeah, so this is just a septic upgrade. It has a failed old code Title V system, and we're looking to install a new Title V system with a new leach area, a new septic tank with an Orenco nitrogen reducing system. The new leach field is about 30 feet landward of where the old leach field is, so it's much farther away from the resource area than where the existing one is. the proposed leach field will be more or less straddling the 100-foot line from the edge of the salt marsh. We just tried to position it in such a way we had to prioritize and keep the leach field 100 feet from the wells that are existing there. So we had limited room where we could put it, but we just tried to locate it in such a way that it could be easily accessed off the dirt driveway that goes by, just to limit the amount of vegetation that would need to come down and install that septic system there. It's a pretty simple project, and it's expected to take about 2 days. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them for you.
Yes, Mike, sure.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yes. So when I went out there, yesterday, it didn't seem to be stakes. It was very hard to know when you say remove the vegetation, how many trees are going to come down.
I'm guessing probably it's mostly small pitch pines that are in that area, and some small oak trees. I'm guessing probably about 10 of those would have to go. And then the area would be the area would be revegetated with a conservation grass seed mix. Part of the problem with the old septic system is it's root bound, so all the trees that have grown on top of it have failed it. So we're just trying to avoid that situation again by just putting conservation seed mix over the top of it rather than any shrubbery or trees or anything like that.
Can mitigation be put somewhere else on the property?
The property is actually very heavily vegetated. I think the only bare area is where the driveway is. So.
All right.
I had trouble when I went out there. I didn't see any stakes, but I figured out from the map where you were doing it. And I just have to say, because you're putting in a nitrogen reduction system, I'm going to support this project.
Yeah, it's definitely a huge improvement over what's there. So.
Right. I don't care how many trees you have to take down to put in a nitrogen removal.
Is there anyone else who wants to comment?
No.
Can I move that we approve the RDA for Kroll's Wigwams, 36 Wigwam Street septic upgrade?
Second, John Portnoy.
John, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ben, how do you vote?
Yes.
Leon?
Yes.
John Cutler?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Debbie? Yes, you're all set.
Is that a negative?
Thank you very much.
Agree.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye, Jay.
The next hearing is for Provisor, 375 Cove Road, map 28, parcel 33. It's an RDA to erect a 10 by 12 foot shed on concrete blocks. Is there anyone here for this proposal?
Yeah, hi, I'm here. I'm Evan Provisor. I'm homeowner.
Okay, do you want to spell your last name, please?
Provisor.
Thank you. You want to speak to your project, please?
Yeah, we bought the property 5 years ago. We are actually there full time. It's our full-time residence, actually as of a couple of weeks from now, and are trying to get some additional storage space. I originally filed a shed permit. We were originally going to try to place it down near the driveway area, but realized that that's in the flood zone. Most of the property is in the FEMA flood zone, and that should be on the map that I submitted with the application. And then after talking with Gordon Peterson, realized that was probably not a great spot to put it. So looking at the revised flood map, realized that the side of the house, we could position it near the property line just outside of the flood zone. And it would be actually it's a relatively flat area, would not involve any vegetation removal. It would be just outside the flood zone. It would be, again, it's a small structure. It would be on blocks. I can't tell you the exact height because in order to level it, it'll be, one side would probably be 6 to 8 inches, the other maybe 4 inches. It is well beyond 100 feet from the top of the tidal bank. So it should be outside of any, any flood issues, and that hopefully can be a wavered project. It's not going to involve any significant vegetation removal. There's basically one small bush, and that's really about it there. No trees will be removed. We do have a history. When we bought the house, we inherited that the previous owner had cut down trees, and we had to go through a fairly extensive mitigation process and used Gordon as our consultant to do that. Fortunately, that got resolved after about a year or two.
How will you do the leveling for the blocks? Will that be by hand?
Pretty much. They actually come in and they do, there's not really any significant excavation involved. It's, one side would be perhaps a few inches higher than the others, and they would just level the different height of the blocks. Or the other option is to use, they could put sonotubes in, and I guess it could be fixed to those. But again, it's outside of the flood zone. I'm not sure if that's necessary to do. The risk of you have the 13-foot elevation, it's above that. So if that would be necessary to do that.
Will it be the appropriate standoff from the property line, offset? I think it's got to be 10 feet or so.
I thought it was 5, but
It's shown properly on the site plan for the zoning setbacks.
and my understanding, and also the doors will face inward towards the property. That was one of the stipulations on the shed permit.
Does anybody else have comments?
So I just have a question. If it is beyond 100 feet, is it in our jurisdiction at all?
It's in the flood zone.
In the flood zone, yes.
So even though it's just above, it's on the map, on the FEMA flood map, the position was just outside. It was just outside of zone AE into zone Z. Is it zone Z? That's the low risk.
Debbie, this is
Yes,
John Crumbler. This is a relatively low impact structure. I think they've done their best to put it where it have the least impact and also be safest, so it won't be floating around running into other people's homes. I'm sympathetic with people who want to move here full time and have storage problems. If we can accommodate this without in any way negatively impacting the environment, so I strongly support this project.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
I think it's reasonable. I'm familiar with the property. I drive by every day. I think it's reasonable.
Yeah, it's just around the corner from me. Could I have a motion, please?
I move that we accept this proposal.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
John Portnoy, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ben?
Yes.
Leon?
Yes.
John Crumbler?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Mike Fisher?
Yes.
And Debbie, yes. You're all set.
Thank you very much.
Evan,
Just a question of how we proceed. Will this be sent back to the building department? And then
yeah, I was just going to tell you, I have it in my hand. I'm just going to go drop it onto the building inspector's desk. It will take them several days to process it. At the same time, your paper will be processed through conservation. So you should get both around the same time, then you're ready to proceed.
Okay, thanks, Hillary.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Can someone tell me if I did 2 or 3?
It's a 2. It's in the resource.
Thank you.
All right, the next hearing is Whitman, 30 Way 14, map 9, parcel 629, It's an RDA to replace the existing screen porch and existing decking. Is there anyone here for Whitman?
Good afternoon, Dave LaJoy.
David LaJoy.
Oh, great. I didn't see you. All right. Do you want to talk to us about the project, Dave?
Yeah, good afternoon. Existing house on Gull Pond, very close to the pond, the bordering vegetated wetland coming up towards the house. There's an existing path that runs from the house over to a beach area. There's walkways around the house. This is all in the 50-foot filter strip. They want to basically just replace the deck, same size, no extra tubes or anything like that, just the actual decking, and replace the screen porch, rebuild it. It's on a block foundation. They're not going to have to do any work. They're going to evaluate that once they get involved inside the building, and they're going to do some major interior work so they can gain access to the basement, and then fix the foundation for the porch if necessary, but it doesn't seem as it needs any specific work at this point. Basically, the area is already existing, restrictive work limit. Whatever revegetation needs to be done for the lawn would be a Cape Cod mix. Be happy to answer any questions.
This is John Kumbler. I don't have any problem with this except for the, they may or may not have to do something with the foundation. That seems to me something we would want to know ahead of time if they want to work on the foundation and what their plans are for that foundation. That is my concern.
Be happy to say if they do any work on it, they come back to you. It's just a block foundation now. The size of the screen porch is the same, no extra weight, no extra size. They want to, the whole building's underneath the crawl space, and they want to put a vapor barrier down, put some crushed stone there, and that's all they want to do inside the building.
I'm okay with it. I just, if they do want to do significant change of the foundation of the porch area, I would like them to come back to us. Other than that, I don't have any problem with this.
I understand.
Or if any heavy equipment is involved.
Right.
There's no heavy equipment. It's all gonna be done by hand.
Okay, I'm good with it like that. That's fine.
Mr. Chair, John Portnoy. I'm very familiar with this property. And I observed that there's a very good, well-developed shrub border between the house and Gull Pond. And I also noted that the work area is fairly restrictive, as David says. I don't have any problem with it, except if there are disturbed areas, as David mentioned, that are going to be revegetated with, I think he said Cape Cod mix. If that disturbance includes the removal of some of these shrubs, I would prefer to see replacement with native wetland shrubs or riparian shrubs. That's all.
Any other comments?
Just a note to the applicant that a septic inspection will be required for the work.
It's not a flood zone or anything like that, right, Hillary? No flood zone.
I do not believe, well, it's low. I do
No,
not
it's-
believe so.
It's Gull Pond, excuse me, it's Gull Pond. It's just an A zone. There's no
Yeah.
elevation to it, so it's basically the elevation of the pond.
So, Dave, what we're talking about is if there's going to be any change to the foundation, they would have to come back. And if the removal of vegetation included shrubs, we'd like to see the shrubs replaced.
Yes,
Okay, is that any problem?
not at all.
Are there
Yeah,
other?
I'm the owner, and actually that makes total sense, and it's what we want to do.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so I move that we approve the is it an RDA? I guess so.
Yes.
For Whitman at 30 Way 14.
Is there?
I second.
Okay, John Portnoy, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ben?
Yes.
Leon,
Yes.
John Kumbler,
Yes.
Barbara Branisel,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Debbie, yes. You're all set with those conditions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hillary, 2 or 3?
It's a 3, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, you have to tell me.
Okay. The next public hearing is Clark, 615 Chequesset Neck Road, map 19, parcel 118. It's a notice of intent. Remove existing deck at east side of existing deck and replace with deck extension. Add new stairs to grade at west side of deck. Is there someone present for the Clark proposal?
Let me just see if I need to unmute somebody. Richard Williams. If there is anyone present for the Clark hearing at 615 Chequesset Neck Road, could you please submit a chat in the chat feature, please, down at the bottom of the screen? I'm gonna go ahead and say there is no one here.
All right, then should we continue this?
Yep.
And is it possible to continue it to the next?
Yes,
meeting?
we can continue it to the next hearing.
Okay, could I have a motion?
Move that we continue the hearing for Clark at 615 Chequesset Neck Road until, what is it, August 5th?
August 5th.
Is there a second?
Leon seconds.
Okay. John, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ben? Ben?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Oh,
Leon?
yes. Yep.
Leon?
Yes.
John Kumbler?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Debbie, yes. Okay, that's continued. And then we have Cohen and Vieira, 400 Pleasant Point Avenue, map 36, parcel 193, a notice of intent to install a new septic system. Is anyone present here for Cohen and Vieira?
Yes, good afternoon, Dave LaJoy again.
Hi, Dave. You want to tell us about the project?
Existing house at the end of Pleasant Point Avenue, right on the tip. Heavily impacted by a variety of resource areas, flood zones, coastal banks, salt marsh. Existing house, septic system upgrade, 3 bedrooms, stays 3 bedrooms. We tried to maximize the distance from all the wetlands where we showed it on the east side of the house. On the west side of the house, there's a rectangle that says option on it, which is the same size as the leach area that we're proposing. I just put that on there to show you that moving it to that location isn't really changing anything. It's a leach area with nitrogen reduction Advantex treatment unit. The well is off-site, considerably west. They own the property to the west, and the well's even further up Pleasant Point Avenue, and there's no wells impacting this site at all. Be happy to answer questions.
Does anybody have any questions?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, John.
through you, I have a question about the elevation shown on the plan. Are these NAVD 88 elevations?
Yes.
Okay, so follow-up is, I was looking for depth of groundwater at the leach area. Do you have that?
We haven't done soil testing there. On the second sheet, under the leach chamber section, it gives an estimated groundwater elevation of 4.8. And I used that from property a little farther to the south on adjacent property where we went through the calculations. So I'm going to be at least 6 feet above the adjusted groundwater elevation.
Okay, would it be any better, or would there be more separation if you went to the option on the west side?
No, not significantly, no. I
Okay.
could raise it where we have it if needed, if you know what I mean. We can
Yes.
make the leach area higher.
Yeah.
But I believe we're gonna be well above the groundwater separation of 5 feet.
Okay.
Anyone else?
I just have, this is Mike Fisher. I had a question. What's currently there?
There's one cesspool that I know of. It's shown as a little circle with a dot in it down in the
Right.
driveway area, which is about the elevation of the salt marsh.
Thanks.
That'll be eliminated.
Okay, thank you.
Does anyone else have any comments?
Again, I approve of this system and I appreciate the fact that the owner is putting in Advantex and I support it. John Cumbler.
Anyone else? All right, can I
Dave, do we have a file number?
1 minute, please.
I'm in the middle.
I got it.
Yes, you got it, Chris?
Yes,
Oh,
SC 0771555.
Yes.
Thank you.
Anything else, Hillary?
That's all.
Okay.
Okay, I will move that we approve the NOI for Cohen and Vieira at 400 Pleasant Point Avenue with the department being the supervisors.
Is there a second?
I'll second. Leon?
Okay. Leon, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ben, how do you vote?
Oh, for some reason I keep not hearing you. I don't know. Yes.
John Portnoy?
Yes.
John Cumbler?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Mike Fisher?
Yes.
Debbie? Yes. You're all set.
Thank you. Good night.
Dave.
All right. Is there anything else in the public hearing portion?
Nope.
I know that we have people in the audience, and I don't know if they were waiting for a particular matter or something else. Okay.
Does Chandler, Dorothy, or David wish to speak?
Not I.
No, I think we're,
Then we can entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Barbara, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
John Cumbler?
Yes.
Leon?
Yes.
Ben?
Yes.
John Portnoy?
Yes.
Debbie, yes. Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you all so much.
Goodbye, all.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.
Yikes.